Okay, let's talk some Nuggets Suns. And I would like to start with the Nuggets defense versus the Suns offense. And besides the obvious things of like the Nuggets are going to dare Torrey Craig and Josh Okogie, whoever else might be in that spot to beat them, and we'll see if Torrey Craig's shooting can hold up the way it did some of the Clippers series. And we will also see just the balance of Phoenix remembering that they have Kevin Durant, for lack of a better term, because he does still spend like what feels like a few too many possessions kind of spotting up and looking at things. Not to say that we want Chris Paul relegated to a spot-up guy all the time. I mean, when the 15-footer's cooking, the pull-ups and all that, we still want CP to have the ball. But anyway, what is Jokic going to be doing defensively in this series? So if I can do my Jokic on defense spiel for the third or fourth time this season, the Nuggets have been at their best defensively this season with Jokic at the level of the screen and not in a drop, because when he's in a drop, it asks him to be more of a rim protector, which he is not as good at. The trade-off of this is that it requires more rotations on the back line, and if something is off, you can give up rolls to the rim, you can give up skip passes to the corner, that sort of stuff. And I'm sure what Denver will tell themselves is, well, hey, listen, we put 2 on the ball with Jokic, and then we leave open Torrey Craig, Josh Okogie. I mean, those are the 2 getting the most minutes in that spot for the Suns right now, right? The thing there, though, is that the Suns could just kind of mess up the spacing for the Nuggets, where you could put Booker and KD in the 2 corners with a CP pick and roll up top, and that can make it a little scarier because between the potential roll for Ayton if the rotations aren't there or whatever, but also the potential for the skip pass, Maybe the Nuggets tell themselves, well, we stay home on those 2 in the corner and then we're still helping off of the one other guy and that's enough. I don't know if that's enough. And of course you can substitute it to where it's KD with the ball running the screen and now CP's in the corner, Booker having the ball with the other 2, you get it. And the real scary thing for Denver is if they run a second action for one of those guys starting from the corner while they also have the screen going up top and Denver's trying to, have all their rotations and stuff. Now, the other possibility is what if you have Jokic, I don't want to call it a drop, but a foot behind the level of the screen, if you will, for the sake of giving your rotations in the back line a little bit of a break. The fear there, though, is that it could lead to Jokic having to deal a little bit more directly with Booker or KD getting potentially downhill. It could also open those guys up to the pull-up mid-range, which of course they love, and there are times where they just don't miss them at all. The flip side of that is the Nuggets could be like, yeah, well, what if we get them to take so many that the math is in our favor, with which the counter to that is these guys might be the one team who's going to break the calculators and that sort of thing. As for the guard matchups, I think KCP is going to be on Booker. The Nuggets will trust that KCP can fight enough with Booker coming around a screen to help out Jokic in whatever coverage they want to go with. And also, what about just Booker versus KCP ISOs? Are the Nuggets going to be bringing doubles on that sort of thing? Not right away, of course, but sometimes. How aggressively do they want to get with the, okay, let's play off of Josh Okogie stuff? I'm going to guess that Aaron Gordon will guard KD. I know MPJ's got the height thing there, but I just kind of like Aaron Gordon on KD more. I don't know. To be fair, there's nobody on this Nuggets team that I feel good about guarding KD. This also means that Jamal Murray most likely ends up on CP unless you're putting a much bigger dude on CP, but I kind of like the idea of MPJ guarding, let's say, Craig or Okogie for the sake of being that help defender. Also, quick aside on MPJ, I think he's improved defensively, especially from when it looked kind of ugly earlier in his career. Obviously, Bruce Brown's going to come in, and besides just how he fits in with the flow of the Nuggets offense defensively, the dude is tough. A question, will we see more Christian Brown in the series? Because defensively, I get it, he's a rookie, but he's already good. 6'5", keeps his chest up, moves well laterally. I also wonder if they do something that the Clippers did at least a little bit against the Suns, where the Clippers it was Zubats, but with the Nuggets it would be Jokic guarding Okogie or Craig and sagging off of him. You have most likely Gordon on Ayton, but then it puts MPJ on KD. Don't love that, but I guess if you want to just throw something different at him, and there's a chance that the true X factor for the Suns is just CP's health and stamina and all that, but it also might just always be DeAndre Ayton, where it's always is he being aggressive enough? Are they finding him enough on rolls? Is he getting into bully ball in the post, or is he too quick to go to hook shots? Is he making enough 15-footers for the defense to at least think about him out there if they're putting 2 on the ball or whatever, which that's a possibility against the Nuggets. Also, if Torrey Craig keeps shooting like he did in some of those games for the Clippers, then that's also going to throw a thing for the Nuggets. It'll be a challenge for Denver to guard these guys. Look, the Nuggets for the season, they finished 15th in defense. Their 2 most used lineups had a higher number than what would have been the 15th overall defense. Anyway, onto the flip side of this. Can the Suns guard the Nuggets with the Jokic-Murray 2-man game? Just all the cuts that come off of Jokic's existence and the random Jokic, Aaron Gordon pick and rolls that results in lobs when you don't expect them and stuff. Well, that's going to be a challenge as well. I think a lot of this starts with DeAndre Ayton. Number one for guarding Denver is you can't get cooked by Jokic in the post. Or at least not too much. Look, I fully expect Jokic to have some outrageous stats in this series. And the thing with Jokic is he usually ramps up the shot attempts in the playoffs, right? Where, I mean, he's still an amazing passer, no doubt, but regular season Jokic for his career, he's averaged, ever since he became what he is now, about 17 shots a game. In the postseason, that number approaches 20 a game. The second thing is how much help are you bringing? I mean, like if Bruce Brown or Christian Brown are in the game, I would imagine the Suns are going to dare those guys a little bit more. But between Murray, KCP, MPJ, Gordon, I mean, if Gordon's at the three-point line, you'll dare him. But, you know, the Nuggets usually get him like in cut stuff, whatever. The other thing that's going on is Jamal Murray has been kind of cooking lately, right? Like I feel like Josh Okogie's the best defender for him. They might still start with Craig just because he started for them in the Clippers series, but I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes more of an Okogie series. Not to say that Craig won't play, of course he will. I think the most interesting thing for the Suns defense is if KD can be like a lethal help defender off of, I would imagine, Aaron Gordon. The argument against that is that Aaron Gordon does stuff in the Nuggets offense. He doesn't just stand there. Like he's cutting, he's setting screens, he's involved in random stuff. So, yeah, I guess if Bruce Brown is in the game, like that might be an opportunity for KD to be more of a help guy too. We'll see there. I imagine there's going to be like a decent amount of switching. I don't think the Suns are going to want to switch absolutely everything against this team because you might end up with like small dude on Jokic, but then you might have to, you know, swarm him like crazy, you know, normal guarding the Nuggets stuff. How's Chris Paul going to look defensively in this thing? We'll see. I mean, I would imagine he's going to be on KCP to start possessions, and, you know, do the Nuggets want to involve KCP directly in actions to try to get CP on Jamal Murray or, you know, have him involved in Jokic actions? And I assume CP is going to fight like hell, but dude's old. It is what it is, man. The last thing I'm thinking about is just like DeAndre Ayton guarding Jokic Murray two-man actions, whether it's Jokic screening for Murray or handoffs or whatever. I mean, putting two on Murray is just terrifying because then it's Jokic with more daylight than you'd like to give him in the middle of the floor. So you're probably going to have Ayton like a little high up, but still like a kind of in a drop just for the sake of dealing with Jokic, and you're just hoping that, I mean, if Okogie or Torrey Craig are on Murray, that they're the ones containing Murray enough around the screens. And anyway, who am I picking to win this thing? I think I am leaning towards the Nuggets because part of me feels like it's going to be a challenge both ways for either one of these teams to guard each other. And so then I start to think a little bit more about, well, how do I just feel my gut reaction about both of these teams? And it's like, well, on Denver's side, I think their chemistry is great. I mean, their offense is basically a well-oiled machine at this point with the way they play off of Jokic and the way that Jokic and Murray play off each other with the screens, the handoffs, and all that. And I'm weighing that versus a Suns team who can definitely win the series, no doubt. I mean, the top-end talent is there. The shot chart still has me a little freaked out. The amount of minutes as well as tough shots that KD and Booker have just had to consistently make against a Clippers team that was without Paul George and eventually without Kawhi concerns me as well. CP holding up throughout the whole series, that also freaks me out a little bit. I also think Denver wins the depth game by a little bit. I mean, look, I'm one of the biggest Bruce Brown fans you're going to find, so I'm going to take the Nuggets, and I am fully prepared for Kevin Durant and Devin Booker to make like 19 of 27 mid-range jump shots in like 3 of these games and be like, well, that was a dumb pick. And also, I mean, I'm talking about how the Suns looked against the Clippers. I mean, yeah, the Nuggets won against the Wolves in a 5-game thing similar to the Suns, but, you know, the Wolves made a few of those games competitive too, so I don't know, but I'm going Denver. And I'll say 7. I think I too often say that series are going to be 6 or 7 games, but I'm going to do it again. I'll say 7. I'll speak it into existence.